Hello everybody, this is toysareruss, and for this new figure unboxing and review we're going to be looking at the Mechanic Studios 36C. This is the comic leopard figure. So with this video we're going to have a look at the entire contents of the packaging. We'll have a look at his accessories, how you can use them in each mode. We will in fact have a look at all of his modes because he is a triple changer, so we'll look at all of them. We'll do some comparisons with some other figures, and of course we'll see how he compares, which I'm sure you've guessed, with the figure that he is basically based upon. So this is based upon a Generation 1 Sandstorm figure. However, this is comic leopard, so this is more of course in tune with how he appeared in the comic. Now this is my fourth review of this particular mold, and as you can see they've made some stunning figures out of it. All of these are in separate videos, but I'm going to be doing of course a quick comparison with them all. There we go. We've got a version which was based on a KO in Japan, the original toy version, a shattered glass version, and as I said, this is based upon his appearance in the Marvel comics, which to be fair they've pretty much nailed. And so this is, I'm trying to do them all differently, but to be honest guys, I suppose I've got to do this from the beginning because this is how he comes packaged. He comes packaged in this box, which is lovely. You've got of course the picture on the front, and I suppose I just again need to clear up the reason why he's not called Sandstorm is because Mechanic Studios aren't licensed by Takara or Hasbro to make transforming figures, so they can't call him by his proper name. So that is why, as I say, he is called something slightly different. He comes inside this plastic clamshell and he comes packaged in buggy mode. He comes with a collector's card like so, which has got again great artwork on the front and then all the details on the back. If you want to read that, let's get it to focus for you. You can pause that and have a read of that yourself. And then the instructions, you'll have noticed that I've uploaded 6 different instruction tutorials because the instructions aren't the greatest and there's only for 2 phases, but of course as I've just said there's 6 because he's got 3 modes. Now the accessories, the gun is great, I get the gun. What I mean by that is I understand this. Now I don't understand why they brought the spare head. You can replace this by undoing the tiny screw there and on here. And indeed just as simple as that, so undoing the screw and then you can replace the head onto the mushroom peg. Now what I mean by that is I get it with the original use of the mold, because what they did was they did a toy face, which of course is what this is. That is based upon the toy face, but what they also did, which again great idea, is they also gave him a head for how he looked in the G1 cartoon. But of course it was only this one who was in the cartoon, so there, in my opinion, there was no real need to do this for all the other versions of the mold, but they did do so. I suppose it's a bonus if you wanted to use it. You probably noticed that the helicopter blades are starting to fall off the bottom. These are stored here. There is 4 individual ones and they fit in quite securely there, and then you could also use them as weapons in robot mode as well. I imagine the more you do this, if you carried on playing with it, they would fall out all the time. However, this is the buggy mode, and you'll see in the pictures that what they, I suppose, advise you to do is just turn the head around and push it down like so. But as I've said in all my other videos, I don't really like that. What I would much rather do is lift it up, push it all the way under. So you don't need to, that's better. You don't need, as I say, to turn it around. If you don't want to, you can just tuck it all the way underneath itself and slide that back, so there's no visible head at all. This is the buggy mode. All the wheels are on individual pins, so they roll back no problem whatsoever. To be fair, everything's tucked away quite neatly with this. The transformation process, as I say, you've probably seen some of the transformation processes already. It's pleasant, it's fun, it's challenging, and it's intuitive. You can pop the gun on either side depending which way you want it to press or face up or down. And this is, oh, I've just knocked one of them off. That's because my hand's underneath knocking it. You've got the painted windscreen there. You've got a little bit of detail in this shock absorbers and suspension, but otherwise it's quite a basic buggy mode. In all honesty, I think it's perhaps the weakest mode of the 4. And there's not much more to say about that. Let's come back then and have a look at him in his helicopter mode. Right then, so we're back and he's in his helicopter mode already, and to be honest, I love this alternate mode. I think it's great, but I do think that with this particular color scheme, it's the weakest of the 4. Obviously with the original one, you're just used to that, so for me, perhaps I'm more biased due to nostalgic reasons, whereas with the white one, it was just something completely different, and the fact they called it White Python and it had a little bit of extra detail on it, whereas this one, I suppose, to me at the moment, just seems perhaps a little bland, maybe just a little bit too beige in all honesty. It's but I can't remember him in his helicopter mode in the cartoon, not in the cartoon, in the comic, in all honesty. But obviously they've got to put this particular mode in because it is one of them. Now again, you can attach the gun to the front if you want. You can have it that way round, or you can attach it this way around. It's up to you. There's no other place for you to store it. Again, and the spare head you can keep in the box, and of course the blades are now all attached. This is a great little sized figure though. It's, you know, it's not huge. It's what's classed as a legend scale size figure. So to give you an idea, there is the Jurassic Park Jeep from the crossover, which, you know, is quite a bit bigger than it. It really is. So this is a really small, really intricate figure. And again, I'm really surprised with how good these are. All the blades, of course, go around. They go around there. You can turn the tail down if you wanted to. And again, this is just a perfect homage to the original transformation process from the original Generation 1 figure. I like it. I do really like it. As I say, it's not a negative, it's just my personal opinion. I think for me, this particular color scheme for this mode is the weakest out of the four. And again, there's not too much to say about this. You can have a look at the other ones in, of course, the other videos as well. But what we need to do now is, of course, have a look at him in his robot mode and see how he compares and fares with the rest of them. So then, back for the final time with him in his robot mode, and I suppose, you know what, you can't really argue with the fact that I think they've nailed his comic book appearance color scheme really well. I tried to show the actual comic, but it just kept reflecting. So there is an actual image of his comic book appearance. So to be honest, I'm sure you'll agree, they've pretty much got that. So although it is quite bland, and again a bit beige, it's how he looked in the comic, so you can't really argue with it. So with regards to articulation, the head, if you can get your fingers in, will look up and down, and it will look left and right. It is obviously clearly restricted by all of this going on here, but you can still do enough with it to pose, etc. The shoulders, again, you can bring these up. These are restricted, but you can also tuck these back a little bit, or perhaps bring them over to give you more range of motion to spin them back. But these do move up and down, and you may have noticed again in one of the other videos, they do pop off quite easily, so be nice and careful with that. There is swivel underneath the biceps. There is no wrist swivel because these fists are just attached, and as I say, they hide away inside there. Now the four blades still attached behind there, absolutely fine. I'm going to take a couple of them off though, to be honest, just because I want to show you that you can use them as accessories, as weapons as well. So you can see that we've got a bit of a waist swivel. It is slightly restricted, but you can see there it does swivel. You wouldn't call it an ab crunch, it's just it leaning over from the hips. You can see the hips are on ball and socket, so you've got full range of motion. You see you've got the swivel at the top, you've got your knee bend, and you've got some crazy ankle tilt, toe tuck, rock, everything on all of this ball and socket, and additional bits of leverage there. So this is super articulate. It is so clever. To be fair, it's my first Mechanic Studios figure, and it's really surprised me at just how good it is. So you can, of course, attach the gun in either hand if you wanted to. You can, of course, if you wanted to, for some reason, attach it onto the forearm, exactly as you have done in the previous, he says, not being able to do it, 2 modes like that, and of course stand him up a little bit better. But what you can also do, and I really like this, and I've not seen anybody else do it yet, but it makes perfect sense to me, these can be used like Springer's blades were used in the Siege version of his particular figure. They can use them as blades like that, or to be honest, as Optimus Prime in his Rise of the Beasts figure, if you wanted to, you could attach these to the side as well, so you can have blades and swords and samurai him up. Now of course, to be honest, I can put another blade in that hand and the other one on the other side as well, but I just think it's just a great little additional, I'm sure it's going to be picked up more and more the more, you know, the more play time this particular figure gets. But if you don't want to, you can just tuck them all behind, and as you've seen, it fits behind, no issues. What I do need to show you is give you an idea again of scale of this particular figure. So depending on what you collect, there's some G1 figures. Oops, literally took his head off. So that's going to give you an idea of the scale and the size. That's probably the most important one that you want to see. So because most of the Legend scale companies figures all sort of scale relatively well with each other, so there is Magic Square, there is New Age, and I've got Iron Factory as well, funnily enough. Yep, there is a Mirage, a Sheen figure, and the ones that definitely don't or the sister company, which is Doctor Wu, which is of course the tiny versions, but again they scale really well with the main, I suppose, legend scale figures that I'm aware of. There's probably other ones, guys, and again correct me in the comments because I am new to the third-party game. Right, with regards to the other ones though, let's see if I can get these to balance. So this is based, as I say, on this one is based on a KO version of the toy that was out in Japan in the 80s, I believe. As I say, that's the toy original deco, and that is the shattered glass. So they are all stunning, and again they are all really small. Funnily enough, this guy's just standing here because he's in the middle of another video. You can't even see Deathsaurus's head. These are up to about his waist. Yeah, that gives you an idea, I suppose, of size and scale with regards to them. For those of you who don't collect any of the figures that I've just shown you, and you only collect new mainline figures, there's a core class Grimlock. Ooh, I knew he was going to go, I could just tell. Let's pop these back heel bits down. There is a core class Optimus Prime, and you will see that these fit perfectly in between the core and deluxe size figure range. So that's how they're all pretty much fitting. And again, there's not much more to say about this figure. I think it's great. I think the mold is spectacular. The transformation process, as I say, is fun, challenging, not too fiddly, not too tricky, like Magic Square. And I don't want to sound like I'm calling them out, but my experience with them, I've knocked him over again. Apart from Cyclonus and Farak, is that they're just overly complicated. This is complicated and intricate, but not difficult with the complication. But I think that's pretty much all I'm going to say about this figure. Again, just a reminder, all of the figures that you've just seen in this video, including the other 3 colours of this mould, are available to watch full reviews of on this channel if you want to. Let me know what you think of this guy in the comments. In fact, tell me what your favourite version or what colour scheme is now your favourite. Now, you can see all of these standing next to each other. Sorry I've drip fed them out, but I'm sure you didn't want to see 4 videos on these 4 days in a row. But there you go, there's all 4. Let me know your favourites, guys. Take care.